Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. Now, last week I shared with you a fun way to change up your scale routine, and I shared a special PDF with patrons and channel members. Thanks, guys. So if you're looking for a fun way to change things up, be sure to check out last week's video. Today, I am going to guide you through some important tips that you can implement into your breathing when you play clarinet. So these are things that you can make part of your playing, your practice, every day, starting right here, right now. So if you don't already have your clarinet out, go and get it, and then come back and I'll guide you through these tips. Now, last week I had the honor of being part of a chamber music camp with my clarinet quartet, and we coached the ensembles alongside some really excellent faculty local to St. Louis. Now, this camp was hosted by Clarinet Quest, which is a fantastic local shop in St. Louis where you can buy new and used clarinets and saxophones. Sax Quest is the original store name. They have a wonderful clarinet expert there. Her name is Audrey Denny. So if you're looking for a new instrument, I would definitely go there and check it out. So part of their community initiatives involved hosting this camp, and it's unique because it's a chamber music camp that includes middle school and high school students. And I can't speak for everyone else there, but I was really inspired working with the students and watching my colleagues teach the students as well. One of my colleagues, Nora Schaefer, inspired me to implement some of her methods of teaching into my own teaching as well, so I'm going to share that with you. And now, if you're part of my studio, you're going to be watching this right now and you're going to say, oh, I know exactly what she's saying because I did this week in my lesson. So let's get started. Go ahead and first put your clarinets down. The first tip I have for you is to stand up, and I'd like to encourage all of you to implement standing up into your practice routine on a regular basis. And I don't mean like once a week, I mean every day for at least 10 or 15 minutes. The reason for this is a lot of times when we sit down, we tend to crunch inward and we don't use all of this available space, or we're even too rigid and we get a little bit too tense back here in our back. So I want you all to stand up and imagine stacking your head over your shoulders, over your hips, over your feet. Space your feet about shoulder width apart. Make sure your knees are slightly bent. If they're locked, you run the risk of passing out, so we don't want anyone passing out, okay? So this is to help us move and to breathe, okay? So first thing, I want you to find, what is this, your collarbone, and I want you to place your hand on the top of your rib cage with your index finger touching your collarbone right here. The bottom hand, I want you to find the bottom of your rib cage and place your thumb facing forward right under your rib cage where everything starts to get kind of squishy, so I guess you could call that your waist. And I want you to take just a regular breath, not a clarinet breath, just a regular breath. So if you're like me, you probably feel this part of your chest rise. You don't really feel much of this expanding. Now I want you to take a deep breath. And if you're just taking a normal deep breath, you'll feel your hand expand and down here, bottom hand expand, and your chest open up at the same time. The third way I want you to breathe is what we like to call belly breathing, and I want you to think about filling your body from the belly to the top. So you should feel this part of your body expand before the top. Now, if you're like me and you're standing up straight and you're trying a little bit too hard, your back will kind of lock up and get a little bit rigid. So I'm going to try that one more time. And I'm going to imagine actually expanding in all directions. So I call this 360 breathing. So you're going to go, right? Everything, your rib cage goes all the way around to your back, right? So, and I'm going to take my hand off and relax a little bit. This time I'm going to actually put my hands, both hands on my waist, and try to feel both the back and the front expand together when I belly breathe. And if you guys haven't seen my channel yet, and even if you have, I'm going to remind you, a good way to belly breathe is to think of the word home in reverse. And it feels so good to think about home. And that feels really good. I'm really expanding from all the way around. Okay, the last thing that I want to do with you for breathing on clarinet is a technique that will help us identify our air support system. So this is what I call, I guess, diaphragmic breathing, or other people may call it that. I just call it belly breathing, and I call this your air support system. So call it whatever you want. So I want you to take your big belly breath in, and I want you to shush as loud as you can after you're full of air. Okay, don't hold your breath, just breathe in and shush out, okay? And I want you to put your thumbs again in the squishy part right below your rib cage. So breathe in. Woo! Okay, so I guarantee that 95% of you out there probably just took a wimpy breath in and shushed a wimpy breath out. Shh. So if you did that, I would like to encourage you to really utilize all available space from here all the way up to here, breathing from the belly up, and really, really shush, okay? If you shush very hard, this one helps us learn proper high tongue position for clarinet, and two, it shows us the part of our abdomen that is activated when we are fully supporting our air. Fully supported air is fast air. The only way to produce fast air is to utilize these muscles, okay? So let's feel it one more time. Take a big breath and see if you can shush longer than me. Ready? All right, guys. So I feel like if somebody came over here and tried to punch me in the stomach, they would not succeed because I had a pretty solid wall of abdominal muscles right there supporting my air. And so for me, when I am properly supporting my air, okay, this air support system is activated, number one, because I took a belly breath. And number two, it gives me the ability to play with complete relaxed throats and a totally relaxed chest. And I love practicing standing up because it helps me really feel that relaxation in my upper body, and it helps me utilize all available space, and it teaches me how to breathe correctly, even from my back. So 360 breathing, just like I mentioned before. Now, the last tip is, how do we transfer this to our sitting posture, okay? So let's see, I think I have a chair here. Hopefully you can see me when I practice sitting down. Okay, so this is something I actually spent one of my very first Alexander technique sessions doing, and that was sitting. The whole hour just practicing sitting. Could you imagine? It's so important to our ability to play, to learn how to sit correctly, okay? So what I recommend is you want to sit in a position where your head is stacked over your shoulders, is stacked over your hips. You're not rolling in or rolling out. So we want to mimic standing while sitting. So I call this active sitting, right? So you sit. Front edge of your chair. There we go. And you're ready to go. Now, if you have really long legs, like I often do, if your knees are too high above your hips, you're going to roll inward. So it'd be useful to sit with your knees slightly below your hips to help everything open up. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you try this out. I was really, really excited to share this with you guys, so I hope it helped you out this week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.